सभी को सादर सप्रेम नमस्कार। आइए हम सब मिलकर सामूहिक प्रार्थना में सम्मिलित हों और सर्वस्व कल्याण की कामना करें।
दया कर दान भक्ति का हमें परमात्मा देना।
दया कर दान भक्ति का हमें परमात्मा देना।
दया करना हमारी आत्मा में शुद्धता देना।
दया करना हमारी आत्मा में शुद्धता देना।
हमारे ध्यान में आओ, प्रभु आँखों में बस जाओ।
हमारे ध्यान में आओ, प्रभु आँखों में बस जाओ।
अंधेरे दिल में आकर के परम ज्योति जगा देना।
अंधेरे दिल में आकर के परम ज्योति जगा देना।
दया कर दान भक्ति का हमें परमात्मा देना। बहा दो प्रेम की गंगा, दिलों में प्रेम का सागर।
बहा दो प्रेम की गंगा, दिलों में प्रेम का सागर।
हमें आपस में मिलजुल कर प्रभु रहना सिखा देना।
हमें आपस में मिलजुल कर प्रभु रहना सिखा देना।
दया कर दान भक्ति का हमें परमात्मा देना। हमारा कर्म हो सेवा, हमारा धर्म हो सेवा।
हमारा धर्म हो सेवा, हमारा धर्म हो सेवा।
सदा ईमान हो सेवा, व सेवक चर बना देना।
सदा ईमान हो सेवा, व सेवक चर बना देना।
दया कर दान भक्ति का हमें परमात्मा देना। वतन के वास्ते जीना, वतन के वास्ते मरना।
वतन के वास्ते जीना, वतन के वास्ते मरना।
वतन पर जान फिदा करना, प्रभु हमको सिखा देना।
वतन पर जान फिदा करना, प्रभु हमको सिखा देना।
दया कर दान भक्ति का हमें परमात्मा देना।
दया कर
दया करना हमारी आत्मा में शुद्धता देना,
दया करना हमारी आत्मा में शुद्धता देना।
तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्।
तूने हमें पैदा किया, पालन कर रहा है तू। तूने हमें पैदा किया, पालन कर रहा है तू। तुझसे ही पाते प्राण हम, दुखियों के कष्ट हरता तू। तुझसे ही पाते प्राण हम, दुखियों के कष्ट हरता तू। तेरा महान तेज है, फैल रहा सभी स्थान। तेरा महान तेज है, फैल रहा सभी स्थान। सृष्टि की वस्तु वस्तु में तू हो रहा विद्यमान। सृष्टि की वस्तु वस्तु में तू हो रहा विद्यमान। तेरा ही धरते ध्यान हम मांगते यही दुआ। तेरा ही धरते ध्यान हम मांगते यही दुआ। भगवन हमारी बुद्धि को श्रेष्ठ मार्ग पर चला। भगवन हमारी बुद्धि को श्रेष्ठ मार्ग पर चला।
गायत्री मंत्र। ओम भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्।
ॐ विश्वानि देव सवितर्दुरितानि परासुव यद्भद्रं तन्नयासुव। ॐ विश्वानि देव सवितर्दुरितानि परासुव यद्भद्रं तन्नयासुव। ॐ विश्वानि देव सवितर्दुरितानि परासुव यद्भद्रं तन्नयासुव।
अथ ईश्वर स्तुति प्रार्थनोपासना मंत्र। विश्वानि देव सवितर्दुरितानि परासुव यद्भद्रं तन्नयासुव। ॐ हिरण्यगर्भः समवर्तताग्रे भूतस्य जातः पतिरेकयासि। सदाधार पृथिवीं द्यामुतेम कस्मै देवाय हविषा विधेम ॐ य आत्मदा बलदा यस्य विश्व उपासते प्रशेषं यस्य देवः यस्य छाया अमृतं यस्य मृत्युः कस्मै देवाय हविषा विधेम ॐ यः प्राणतो निमिषतो महित्वैकैद्राजा जगतो बभूव य ईशे यस्य द्विपदश्चतुष्पदः कस्मै देवाय हविषा विधेम ॐ येन द्यौरुग्रा पृथिवी च दृढा येन स्वस्तभितं येन नाकः यो अन्तरिक्षे रजसो विमानः कस्मै देवाय हविषा विधेम ॐ प्रजापतेन त्वदेतान्यो विश्वा जातानि परिता बभूव यत्कामास्ते जुहुमस्तन्नो अस्तु वयं श्यामपतयोरयीणाम् ॐ स नो बन्धुर्जनिता सविधाता धामानि वेद भुवनानि विश्वा यत्र देवा अमृतमानसानास्तृतीये धामन्नदैरयन्त ॐ अग्निनय सुपधाराय अस्मान् विश्वानि देववयुनानि विद्वान् यूयोऽध्यस्मजुहुराणमीनु भूयिष्ठां ते नम उक्तिं विधेम इति ईश्वरस्तुति प्रार्थनोपासना मन्त्रः
ॐ त्र्यम्बकं यजामहे सुगन्धिं पुष्टिवर्धनम् उर्वारुकमिव बन्धनान् मृत्योर्मुक्षीयमामृतात् 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 ॐ त्र्यम्बकं यजामहे सुगन्धिं पुष्टिवर्धनम् उर्वारुकमिव बन्धनान् मृत्योर्मुक्षीयमामृतात्। 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 ॐ
शुद्ध अपना मन करे। ओम सबका पूज्य है, हम ओम का पूजन करें। ओम के ही ध्यान से हम शुद्ध अपना मन करें। पालनहार
सुखी बसे संसार सब, दुखिया रहे न कोय। सुखी बसे संसार सब, दुखिया रहे न कोय। यह अभिलाषा हम सबकी, भगवन पूरी होय। यह अभिलाषा हम सबकी, भगवन पूरी होय। विद्या बुद्धि तेज बल, सबके भीतर होय। विद्या बुद्धि तेज बल, सबके भीतर होय। दूध पूत धन धान्य से, वंचित रहे न कोय। दूध पूत धन धान्य से, वंचित रहे न कोय। आपकी भक्ति प्रेम से, मन होवे भरपूर। आपकी भक्ति प्रेम से, मन होवे भरपूर। राग द्वेष से चित्त मेरा, कोसो भागे दूर। राग द्वेष से चित्त मेरा, कोसो भागे दूर। मिले भरोसा आपका, हमें सदा जगदीश। मिले भरोसा आपका, हमें सदा जगदीश। आशा तेरे धाम की, बनी रहे ममईश। आशा तेरे धाम की, बनी रहे ममईश। हमें बचाओ पाप से, करके दया दयाल। हमें बचाओ पाप से, करके दया दयाल। अपना भक्त बनाए कर, हमको करो निहाल। अपना भक्त बनाए कर, हमको करो निहाल। दिल में दया उदारता, मन में प्रेम अपार। दिल में दया उदारता, मन में प्रेम अपार। धैर्य हृदय में वीरता, सबको दो करतार। धैर्य हृदय में वीरता, सबको दो करतार। नारायण तुम आप हो, पाप विमोचन हार। नारायण तुम आप हो, पाप विमोचन हार। क्षमा करो अपराध सब, कर दो भव से पार। क्षमा करो अपराध सब, कर दो भव से पार। हाथ जोड़ विनती करो, सुनिए कृपा निधान। हाथ जोड़ विनती करो, सुनिए कृपा निधान। साधु संगत सुख दीजिए, दया नम्रता दान। साधु संगत सुख दीजिए, दया नम्रता दान। सुखी बसे संसार सब, दुखिया रहे न कोय। सुखी बसे संसार सब, दुखिया रहे न कोय। यह अभिलाषा हम सबकी, भगवन पूरी होय। यह अभिलाषा हम सबकी, भगवन पूरी होय। भगवन पूरी होय। सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः, सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः। सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु, मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्।
हरिओम। सभी को कोटि कोटि
प्रणाम। इस कार्यक्रम में उपस्थित सभी परम आदरणीय आर्य विद्वजन, देवियों एवं सज्जनों, सभी को कोटि कोटि हार्दिक नमन वंदन। यहाँ दो बात के लिए मैं निवेदन करना चाहूंगा कि अभी हमारे पास अल्प समय है। मैं एक मंत्र प्रस्तुत करूंगा और उसका व्याख्या करने की प्रयास करूंगा। उसके बाद शांति पाठ, तत्पश्चात डीएवी सीएमसी के पीएससी डायरेक्टर आदरणीय निशा मैम के साथ डॉक्टर का इस महामारी के ऊपर एक वेबिनार है, एक चर्चा है, उसमें हम ज्वाइन करें। तो सर्वप्रथम मंत्र जो है वह है ईशोपनिषद से। इस मंत्र को हम सब सुनते भी हैं, जानते भी हैं, सब लोग जानते होंगे संभवतः। उसी मंत्र के बारे में है। ओम पूर्णमद पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। इस उपनिषद के द्वारा यहाँ ईश्वर के स्वरूप को बहुत सरलता से वर्णन किया गया है। यहाँ बताया जा रहा है कि पूर्णम अदा, पूर्णम अदा, अदा यानी वह यानी वह परमात्मा, वह ईश्वर, इस संसार को चलाने वाला, इस संसार को निर्माण करने वाला, वो पूर्ण है। यानी इस जगत को चलाने वाला परमात्मा जो है वह पूरी तरह से पूर्ण है। पूर्णमदा पूर्णमिदम, और उसके द्वारा यह रचित जड़ चेतन रूपी संसार भी पूर्ण ही है। पूर्णमदा पूर्णमिदम पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते, पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते, और उस पूर्ण से ही यह सब कुछ, जितने मानव से लेकर के सब कुछ उत्पन्न होते हैं वो भी पूर्ण ही है। यानी ईश्वर की रचना जो है पूरी तरह से पूर्ण है। तो अब प्रश्न ये भी आ सकता है कि क्या तो हम भी पूर्ण हैं, हम भी ईश्वर की रचना है? बिल्कुल सही है, मनुष्य तो पूर्ण है ही, लेकिन थोड़ी सी कहीं ना कहीं कुछ अपूर्णता है। मनुष्य जो है ईश्वर की रचना में सर्व अमृत पुत्र कहा गया है। ईश्वर का अमृत पुत्र मनुष्य है, हम हैं। लेकिन उसमें अपूर्णता क्या है? इसी अपूर्णता को पूर्ण करने के लिए ईश्वर ने हमारे साथ वेद का ज्ञान जोड़ दिया है। हे मनुष्य, इसे प्राप्त करो और इस मार्ग का अनुसरण करो, तुम भी हमारे अनुरूप पूर्ण हो जाओगे। तो पूर्णमदा पूर्णमिदम पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते, यानी इस पूर्ण से ही पूर्ण उत्पन्न हुआ है। यानी यह जड़ चेतन मानव प्रकृति सारे उत्पन्न हुए हैं। पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय, उस पूर्ण में से यदि हम कुछ पूर्ण निकालते हैं, पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते, फिर भी वह ईश्वर पूर्ण ही रहता है। यानी इस पूर्ण से, इस जगत के परमात्मा से यदि हम कुछ लेते हैं, कुछ मांगते हैं, फिर भी परमात्मा के पास अपूर्ण नहीं होता, उसमें से घटता बढ़ता नहीं है। हमारे पास घट जाता है, बढ़ जाता है, लेकिन ईश्वर के पास कुछ घटता बढ़ता नहीं है। ये तो हमारी चिंतन है कि घटता बढ़ता हमारा ही है, लेकिन ईश्वर के द्वारा इस रचित संसार में कोई भी चीज अपूर्ण नहीं है। उसी पूर्ण में से ही हम पूर्ण निकाल करके अपना आप को पूर्ण करना चाहते हैं, लेकिन जहां हमें पूर्ण करना होता है वहां हम अपूर्ण यानी रिक्त रह जाते हैं। अर्थात ईश्वर ने जो हमें ज्ञान प्राप्त करने के लिए एक सन्मार्ग, एक वेद, एक हमारे लिए सर्वोत्तम साधन उपलब्ध कराया है, उस मार्ग का हम अनुसरण शायद कम ही करते हैं। तो हम इस पूर्ण के बारे में आगे भी चर्चा कभी करेंगे जब समय मिलेगा तो। लेकिन एक चीज बताना चाहूंगा कि यहाँ महर्षि दयानंद सरस्वती जी ने जो आर्य समाज के नियम बनाए हैं 10, वो नियम नहीं, वो मंत्र हैं। यदि हम विचार करें तो वो मंत्र ही हैं। वो हमारे लिए उन्होंने हिंदी के माध्यम से उसको सभी मंत्रों के सार को वहां निकाल करके रख दिया है। यदि उसका भी अनुसरण करें तो हमारी एक परमात्मा की भक्ति होगी और हम उस मार्ग पे, भक्ति के मार्ग पे हमेशा अग्रसर होते चले जाएंगे और हम मनुष्यों का कल्याण संभव हो सके। तो आज के कार्यक्रम के लिए इतना ही। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद, बहुत बहुत आभार सभी का। अब हम शांति पाठ से इस कार्यक्रम का समापन करेंगे क्योंकि हमें आगे भी ज्वाइन करना है। सभी बोलेंगे शांति पाठ। ओम द्यौः शान्तिरन्तरिक्षं शान्ति पृथिवी शान्तिराप शान्तिरोषधयः शान्तिः वनस्पतयः शान्तिर्विश्वे देवाः शान्ति ब्रह्म शान्ति सर्वम् शान्ति शान्तिरेव शान्ति सामा शान्तिरेधि। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। बहुत बहुत सभी आदरणीय धन्यवाद। बहुत बहुत नमस्कार, धन्यवाद।
हम अभी ज्वाइन करके रखेंगे और अमित सर से रिक्वेस्ट करूंगी कि वो डीएवी यूनाइटेड वाला यूट्यूब चैनल से हमें लिंक कर दें। और ये भी रिक्वेस्ट करूंगी कि कल से हम एक नई आईडी पेश करेंगे। कल से नई आईडी यूज करेंगे, मैसेज कर देंगे चैट बॉक्स में सबको और मैं शेयर भी कर लूंगी। थैंक यू।
Dr. Nisha, ma'am, to kindly take over today's proceedings.
Thank you so much, Aparna, for asking me to come for this session. It's always a pleasure talking to Dr. Arvind Kumar, such a knowledgeable person in the field of medical science. Last time, as you, Aparna was saying just now, the session was taken very well by DAV fraternity and by others also. And in fact, just for the knowledge of Dr. Kumar, many parents were part of it and schools had sent it further to others. So lakhs and lakhs of people got benefited by the advice given by Dr. Kumar. Dr. Kumar, thank you so much for coming again for this session. As Aparna was saying just now, there are so many questions which people keep asking. And in fact, since we don't belong to that fraternity, even there are so many questions in our mind also. Sure. That how we have to deal with post-pandemic. In the sense, last time we were discussing that if there are symptoms, what all we should do and how we will ensure that it is a coronavirus, it is COVID-19. And you explained it very well. Now we want to know from you that once a person has been infected and or at home or in the hospital and he's back home. Now, what all one has to do so that the rest of the life, the person remains healthy? Dr. Arvind Kumar.
Respected Dr. Nisha, Charu Madam, Aparna Madam, and the entire DAV fraternity, parents, friends, ladies and gentlemen, a very warm good evening to all of you. And once again, like last time, my very humble and sincere thanks to the entire DAV ecosystem for giving me this honor. I truly consider it an honor to be invited by such a prestigious organization. And when Charu Madam messaged to me and said that, they would like to have a second session, there was no question of even thinking for a second. I said, most certainly, I will be happy and find, if you have a desire, finding time is never an issue. If somebody says, I don't have time, it's not that he doesn't have time, it's the lack of desire. So desire was there, and therefore we are here, we are together. And we have a lot of things to cover today, so I'll be very quick. Let's just first do a very quick recap. That last time we discussed about, what are the symptoms, what do you do when you have symptoms, about the RT-PCR test, how you divide the disease into mild, moderate, and severe. The mild cases can have a home isolation, which does not mean self-treatment, which means treatment under the teleconsultation of a doctor, but carried out by you at home. And for that, I proposed nothing new, but just a reworking of the various aspects which you would see in everybody's prescription. But for easy remembrance sake, I divided them into 6 mantras of home care. One was mixing, then second was medicines, third was meals, fourth was mindset, fifth was monitoring, and sixth was movement to the hospital. It just makes it easy for everyone to remember, and we went into details of all this. So this is what we did last time, and that's where we had left. Since we wanted to finish on time, there was no time to take questions. So today, two things I'm going to focus on very quickly. Next, maybe 3 to 5 minutes, I'll dwell upon something which is bothering everybody's mind today, and that is this black fungus. So I'll touch upon that. And then, as Dr. Nisha said, I would be dealing with the post-COVID care. And again, I will use the same 6 mantras, but the action now will be different. So, in the first one, M meant no mixing. So now M will mean please mix. So, the interpretations will change. But first, coming to mucor. So what is black fungus? Actually, this name black is a misnomer because this fungus is not black. Why it's being called black fungus is that it's a fungal infection where this infection causes clotting of the arteries. Now, let me put on my stop clock because I promised to Charu madam that I'll finish this in 5 minutes and the next one in 20 minutes, so that I take not more than 30 minutes. And I'll try and stick to my time allotted by madam. So this fungus is ubiquitous in nature. Is it present in soil, in air, everywhere? But when we have, there are billions and billions of bacteria, viruses, fungi, and other organisms in the air that we breathe. With every breath, they go inside and come outside. They don't manage to infect our body because of our wonderful defense systems which God has given us. But whenever we do something which tinkers with those defense systems and our body immunity goes down, these organisms which normally cannot cause any problem, they start causing diseases. So this fungus also goes inside and comes out normally, doesn't affect. But when you have decreased immunity, this happens. So what it does is it invades the tissue, it goes into the arteries, it blocks the arteries, and that area which is blocked, which does not get blood because of the blockage of the artery, that area becomes black, and you have black patches here and there. So these are black patches caused by the fungus, and that's why people have started giving it a name, black fungus. It's not that this fungus looks black, this fungus is invisible. So what happens is that when we have analyzed these cases, and trust me, we are getting an unusually high number of cases these days. Vedanta Hospital is receiving about 6 to 8 cases every day from outside. And we have analyzed who are the people who are getting it. The people who are getting it, there are 2 factors which are emerging common to all. One is uncontrolled diabetes, especially a very brittle kind of diabetes, long-standing. And 2, high doses of steroids given for a long time. Last time also, if you remember, I had very unambiguously and very forcefully mentioned that steroids are very tricky medicines not to be misused by people. But sadly, and very sad to report, that there has been a very widespread misuse of steroids by people themselves, taking it on their own And also, I would not hesitate to say by some of the doctors in their over anxiety to prevent any problem, they have mistakenly given very high doses of steroids for a very long time. Now, steroids do have a role to play in corona. And there was a beautiful trial from England which showed which steroid to use, in what dose to use, for how long to use to get the optimum benefit, and how very quickly to stop. That should have been used. But when you have a failing kind of a situation, people have given very high dosages. So there are all kinds of pressure, and also a lot of people have taken on their own. So this WhatsApp University prescription. So one person gets a prescription from doctor where, because of his condition, doctor has given steroids. Now that prescription circulates in the whole family, in the group. Array, what is the need to go? This is the prescription, let's follow. And people have been taking it. So diabetes and steroids, both of them, they lower your immunity. And on top of that lowered immunity, when you have oxygen going under high flow for a very long time, this fungus which is entering through your nose, going into your breathing system, finds a resting place in your nose. So the entry point is nose. It sits down in the nose. There are small openings inside the nose through which our sinuses drain into the nose. So it enters through those openings and goes into the sinuses on both the sides. From sinuses, sitting on top of the sinuses are our two eyeballs, orbits. So there it penetrates that thin layer of bone and goes into the eye, and there from the eye there is another thin bone which it perforates and goes into the brain, and then it spreads to the blood. So the portal of entry is nose. So first symptom that these people develop is stuffy nose, or some discharge from the nose, or blocked nose. Goes to the sinuses, it causes pain in this area, it causes solid swelling and bulging in this area. So the cheek area starts bulging out, looks swollen, the skin may be red and shiny. Then it goes to the eyes, the eyeball may pop out, so eye looks swollen. You may lose the vision suddenly, so blurring of vision, loss of vision, one side or both sides. And then finally it goes to the brain, and then it causes all kinds of complications, and that has almost 70-80% death rate. One of the reasons which has caused this is widespread use of home cylinders with oxygen, the humidifier not changed. When we give oxygen, whether it is through cylinder or through the pipeline in the hospital, this oxygen is dry. If you give dry oxygen in the system, our windpipe gets dried, the lining gets dried up. So what we do, we pass it through a chamber which has distilled water. Now, ideally in a hospital setting, that chamber is supposed to be sterilized every time it's used in a new patient, and that distilled water is supposed to be sterilized and only used for that patient. When you have a new patient, it's supposed to be discarded and a new chamber comes in, or a sterilized chamber comes in. Same way it is supposed to be done in the cylinder. Sadly, because of the huge pressure during those 3 infamous weeks, this practice somehow got overlooked, knowingly or unknowingly. So a lot of fungus grew in that water, and when you have high flow oxygen going through that, some of that got carried through the oxygen, and you had a fertile ground because of the diabetes and steroids, and that fungus found, and this is what we are seeing. So the message is, if you have this nasal stuffiness, pain or swelling in the cheek area, any pain or swelling in the eyes or eyeball popping out, or any disturbance with your vision or alteration in sensorium, and you are a diabetic, you've been on steroids, you've been on oxygen for a long time, this is to be suspected. Just a nasal swab is taken, look for fungus. The treatment has to be very aggressive antifungal medicines, and then surgery, and then maybe patients can be saved. But if you miss vital time and you are diagnosed by the time it has gone to the brain, it's very difficult to save people. So the key message is, if you have diabetes, control it well. Don't misuse steroids. Minimum doses for minimum time. Stop it early. Otherwise, you'll pay the price. And a proper changing of the humidifier bottle. A lot of people will still be receiving oxygen. I want to give a message that ideally in hospital we sterilize it. At home, if you can't, open that bottle. If it's a glass bottle, boil it in water for 10-15 minutes. You can get distilled water. If you can't, just boil the water for 15-20 minutes. It will become sterile, and then you pour it. If you have a plastic bottle, open it, dry it, sanitize it, and then again dry it and put it back, and then water can be boiled. So this is how you can prevent. So this much about the black fungus. Instead of 5, I've taken 7.5 minutes. Madam, 2 minutes upar ho gaye. Okay, now, no, I'm going to stick to time. So now coming to the next issue, post-COVID. So COVID virus, like all virus, all of us get viral fever. You must have seen after viral fever, you are in that post-viral phase for quite some time. And this virus, especially this year's strain, is much deadlier and much worse than last year's. It affects, although we all talk about the lungs only, but friends, the truth is from brain to toe, there is no organ which it does not invade and does not affect and does not leave some residual effect. So what we are seeing is majority of the patients, almost 80-90% of the patients, whether they were at home care or they had moderate to severe disease in hospital or in ICU, after returning are continuing to have a plethora of complaints, all of which have been clubbed under a broad term post-COVID syndrome. Almost 70-80% are people are continuing to have problems. And what are these problems? They have a whole range of, from head to toe, there is no system which is fair. So psychological problems are the commonest, whole lot of problem, and I'll come to that in a few minutes. Vision problems are there, so sometimes because of mucor, but otherwise also some kind of this thing. Smell and taste may take some time to come back, especially bad taste in the, the loss of appetite is a very common problem. People are continuing to have some soreness in the throat. Chest congestion is one of the commonest problems. I have seen about 10 patients since morning. Each one, Doctor Sahab, mera chest ka congestion nahi theek ho raha. Gadbad to nahi hai. Chest, weakness, lethargy, inability to work, pain in joints, pain all over the body, burning sensation in lower parts of the limbs, nausea, some kind of a tummy ache, sometimes loose motion persisting. All these problems are persisting. Some people are persisting to have their heart rate above 120. Doctor, मैं सो रहा हूँ फिर भी मेरा heart rate 120 से नीचे नहीं आ रहा है. Some people are having slowing of the heart rate. So they are going to 50, 45 or that kind of. So a lot of variation in the heart rate. Another problem occurring is what we call postural hypotension. So if you are lying down and you get up suddenly from the bed, you feel giddy. And sometimes you fall down because your pressure, when you're lying down, the pressure is adjusted to your lying down. When you stand up, suddenly there is pooling of blood in the legs. The pressure becomes low, brain doesn't get adequate blood supply, you feel giddy, you pass out, fall down. When you fall down, pressure is restored, and then after a few minutes, you wake up. But in the process, you may injure yourself. So whole lot of symptoms are occurring, all because the virus has affected different parts of the body. So what do we do? How do we respond to that? So same way, I would say that we have to follow the 6M approach. First M is mixing. Earlier we were saying no mixing. The mantra now is to mix with people. So when do you start mixing? Typically, the government of India says that there is no need to repeat RT-PCR to declare yourselves as corona negative. They've given that if you have been in, from the day of start of symptoms, if you have passed 14 days or you have passed about 3 days without fever, without paracetamol, without taking paracetamol, if you've been afebrile for 3 days, or you completed total 14 days of isolation from the start of your first symptom, you can presume yourself to be non-infectious and you can return to your normal activity. We had a discussion in our hospital yesterday. When should we declare ICU patients who are still having some problems non-infectious and allow them to be shifted? So we said that for moderate to severe patients, we'll take 21 days. Anyone who's past 21 days in the ICU from the day he became RT-PCR positive, we'll presume them to be non-infectious and shift them out to non-COVID facility. What do I mean by non-infectious versus RT-PCR? The virus may still persist in your body, and it does, and it may continue to shed its RNA. So you do a typical RT-PCR, which doesn't differentiate between live virus and dead virus. It only detects the RNA. It may still be positive. But this virus is dead. It does not have the potential to infect you. So that's what I mean by non-infectious. So it is said that in about 2 weeks' time, you become non-infectious, and Government of India is not recommending routine RT-PCR repeat testing to declare you as non-infectious, sometimes due to some legal reasons or some, a state migration reasons. If it's needed, it's different, but we are not repeating it routinely. So this is one thing that you start mixing with your family without fear of infecting them. This is one thing. Second is medicines. So if you are mild disease, you will be at home. As I said, paracetamol is the mainstay. So generally by 7th, 8th day, a typical mild symptom will have fever settling down. Beyond that, also sometimes it may persist. Let me share with you, I'm about 6 weeks post-corona RT-PCR detection. But even now, by evening, when I do like this, I feel that my body is warm. When I check, it's about 99.1, 99.2. There is no problem. I haven't got any test done. I'm told by all my physician friends that, Arvind, you just wait, this will settle. So some kind of a very low grade fever may persist. I don't think you need to worry. But of course, if it's higher than 100 degrees, then you definitely need to worry. So one is that mild patients usually would have stopped all medicines. If you wish to continue some vitamins, no issues, you can. But moderate and severe patients who've been started on steroids should reduce. One very clear message: steroids should never be stopped suddenly. So if you are on, say, 32 milligrams, you say, okay, I've taken for 5 days, I'm stopping it from tomorrow. No, your body will have serious complications. They always need to be tapered. So if you are on, typically, we give 16 milligram twice a day for about 5 to 7 days. And then we start reducing it to 12 milligram twice a day, 8 milligram twice a day, 4 milligram twice a day, and then you stop it. So 3 days, you reduce by 8 milligram per day, and then this is how you bring it down. But I will not advise you to, just take my words. I'm only giving you guidelines, but please talk to your doctor, get it reduced, get it stopped ASAP. You would also be on blood thinners, in the hospital on some injections, at home some tablets are given. Typically, we are asking patients to take these tablets for about 10 to 15 days post-discharge from the hospital, provided you are fully mobile. If you are bedridden, you may need to take it longer, because if you are bedridden, you have higher chances of clotting. You may also be on some antibiotics, depending on what kind of infection you have had. Those are issues to be discussed with your doctors. You would be having a discharge summary. There will be medicines written in discharge summary. Please discuss with your doctors. But my general advice is, please stop the medicines ASAP. Fever, little bit fever may persist, little bit cough may persist. I still cough, but I know in some time it will settle. Third, meals. As I said earlier, high protein diet is still very important. No smoking is still important. Not drinking and no other addictions is still vitally important. You may have lost all the appetite. You may literally have to force yourself, but do force yourself, because remember, most of the patients would have lost weight during this period. Whether you are mild illness, of course, moderate, severe ICU, you will lose a lot of weight, but even mild illness, you have. So you've lost weight, you need to regain that weight, and therefore you need building blocks. And what are the building blocks in the body? Proteins. So you need to take high protein diet. We had discussed last time what is high protein diet, so I'm not going into that. Now I come to the fourth one, which is the most important, and that is mindset and psychological problem. 14 days you've been in isolation. If you are the only person, you are locked inside the room. And what do you do there? All the time watch TV. So many died here, so many died there, long queue for in burial grounds. This all negative, horrifying, frightening news. And what do you feel? Oh, is this going to happen to me? Is this going to happen to me? Suddenly you hear near so and so passed away, so and so passed. So there was so much of attack on your mind that by the time you actually come out of isolation, you're almost psychologically broken, hopeless, very negative, very, very fearful, all the time fearing something is going to happen to you, you actually become a mental wreck. And that's where mixing family support, love and affection from your family and friends becomes the most important issue, the most important issue. Remember, if you are mentally weak, you will make your immunity weak. If your mental immunity is low, it's going to affect your physical immunity and you are going to delay your recovery. So you need to be positive. And how do you become positive? You just start looking how benevolent God has been to you. Just look around. Well, so many people have had so many issues, but I have survived. God has been so kind to me. That's one thing which will make you feel good, that no, God has been kind to me. I'm alive. I have survived. Now it's my turn to help those who need my help. I'll share my story, 2 minutes. When this pandemic started and I started getting calls, I shared with you last time my most horrifying night was losing a close friend while being on phone with his wife for 2 hours, trying to arrange for a cylinder in Noida, which I could not, and he died. Can you imagine how painful it would have been? I was going into depression the next day, all kinds of negative news, and I was going in depression. I thought by the time this pandemic hit, I might end up in psychiatric ward. And then I thought to myself, what can I do? How do I save myself from going into depression? Can I change the overall structure of the country? Can I solve these problems on my own? No. I said, okay, I'm an individual. Let me plunge into doing whatever I can at my humble level 24/7 without any selfish motive. And I called my department. We have 6 consultants. I said, from today onwards till this pandemic ends, we are going to give free service to people 24/7. Anybody calling at any time, we'll give free service. Nobody will charge anything, although we are in a private hospital. But I said, no problem. Somebody calls me on phone, I can give free service. And videos, TV appearances, 24/7 we'll punch and do whatever we can. So that when the pandemic ends and I look back at this period, I'll feel कि भाई जो कुछ मैं कर सकता था मैंने किया, मैं इससे ज़्यादा तो कुछ नहीं कर सकता. There's a beautiful song. तुम बेसहारा हो तो किसी का सहारा बनो, तुमको अपने आप ही सहारा मिल जाएगा. There's so much of pain all around. There are so many children who become orphans. You know, husband, wife, parents have died, father has died, mother is alone, mother has died, father is alone, father and son have died. You know, all kinds of permutation, combination. Reach out to them, hand hold them. आपका दर्द खुद खत्म हो जाएगा. To me, if you ask me what is the best way for you to psychologically come out of this, go out, look for people who are in a worse position than you, hold their hand and carry them. You will forget it. This is the best message I can give you. Psychological problems cannot be solved by medicines. You need to solve them by these psychological issues only. So there will be low feeling, depression, anxiety, mood changes, forgetfulness, lack of sleep, excessive sleep. Whole lot of psychological symptoms are going to occur. Mild symptoms wallow maybe, and especially those who have lost their near and dear ones, they are going to have these problems. They will need to be handheld by their family members. And if they handhold others, I think these two things together will heal their wounds much faster than they would otherwise. So share your feelings with family members. This is very important. If you have a lot of people are suffering from guilt feeling. I know one family where the son has been just crying because he went somewhere, he got the infection, he came home, he probably infected his father. His father didn't tolerate the infection and he died. And this gentleman feels that the father died because of him. This guilt complex is going to kill him. And if he keeps it inside, it's going to cause problems. He needs to open up with somebody, share it, and somebody needs to help him come out of it. No, gentlemen, this did not happen. It has happened around the country. You're not responsible. So, friends, summary is whole lot of psychological problems are going to be there, for which the solution is not medicines. Taking anti-anxiety pills, sleeping pills is not the solution. Holding each other's hand, holding hands of those who are in more need than you is the solution which will get you out of it. But when needed, maybe psychologists should be involved, and you will need to take help from psychologists also. Other thing is, you should be feeling grateful to God. Puja part is a big help in such times. But to me, the support from the family, support from doctor, lot of times, maybe I have never sent as many WhatsApp messages as I sent in the last 4 weeks. You know what used to happen? A lot of people, they were admitted. So their children used to call, uncle, can you send a positive message? Papa is becoming very low. आप एक positive message भेज दो. All I would do, Mr. So and so, this is Dr. Arvind. I have talked to your son. I have talked to your daughter. I find that your things are improving. Even if they are not, I will send a message. I find that things are improving. Please don't be low. You are going to be killing this virus. Virus will not do anything. Just be positive. Believe me, I'm a doctor. Take my word. If you be positive, you'll come out. Just this message, I'll record WhatsApp, send it. They will send to them. The next day, sir, जब से आपका message आया ना, suddenly Papa is feeling better. So these little things made a huge difference. I take this opportunity to request all of you to become one family and hold each other. If the whole country, everybody starts and holding each other, I think sabka pain थोड़ा कम हो जाएगा. So this was my most important fourth M, mindset, psychological problems, because they are more important than physical problems. Physical problems ठीक हो जाएंगी, psychological problems need a lot of support. 5M is monitoring. You need to, as I said, there are a lot of problems post recovery. So you need to check your temperature कि कहीं आपको high, sometimes infections can occur, other problems can occur. You need to monitor saturation. There are instances where people have gone home and then have their saturation dipped and gone back on oxygen. So at least 2-3 weeks, you should continue to monitor your saturation, both at rest and at exercise. A lot of people are being discharged on home oxygen. So one is they need to take care about that humidifier bottle, which I have said. And two, very important message I want to give, use minimum oxygen to reach 94. A lot of people are still trying to reach 100. Whether 100 ho jayenge to recovery faster hogi. No, above 94, taking it to higher value does not add any additional value, but it increases complications. So minimum oxygen to hit 94. And now, the breathing exercise video, which I shared, it was useful in that period, but the best use of that video will come now. Why? Why do I say that? Whenever there is pneumonia, there is some amount of swelling in the lung, and that swelling ultimately heals by reparative process. It depends whether the pneumonia did not cause any structural damage, then the process will return the lung to normal. But if it was moderate to severe, which it was in case of millions of people, it would have caused some damage to the lung lining, and that damage will heal by fibrosis. What is fibrosis? Fibrosis is a process where the tissue heals and it tends to shrink. So what will happen in the next 3 to 6 months? A lot of these people, when their lungs will heal, they will have a tendency to shrink. You may not be on oxygen today, but maybe as the fibrosis sets in the next 3 to 6 months, some of you may need oxygen. And this has happened with a couple of my friends. How do you stop that? There is no medicine. There are a lot of medicines. Steroids can be given. Various medicines can be given. None of them have been shown to be highly effective. But there is one thing which is highly effective, which you can do, is to do breath holding. Now, how does it help you? So fibrosis is shrinking the lung like this. What needs to be done? To open up the lung like this. And what's going to open up the lungs like this? Deep breath. If you take a deep breath, you are opening the lung and the lung is shrinking. So there is a battle which will go on inside the lungs of those who had moderate to severe involvement for the next 6 months. And who wins will depend on who puts in more effort. If you do this more than lung does this, you win. And if lung does this more than you do this, lung wins. And lung wins means there is fibrosis at the end of 6 months. And mind you, If fibrosis sets in, it's irreversible and it may leave you lung. So please, all those who are listening, please spread this message to the world that next 6 months, all those who have had mild or moderate or severe disease, they have to focus on breathing exercises. If you can take your breath holding time more than 30 seconds, let me assure you, none of you will develop that fibrosis, because 30 seconds breath holding time means you've been able to stretch your lungs to fullest capacity. That's the other part. Many people will have problems with appetite. It will improve. Cough will improve. People who have diabetes, hypertension, heart disease need to monitor all those things, and you need to, treat them accordingly. And last M is who needs more care. So more care. Last time I told you, last one was movement to hospital. The last M now is who needs more care. So if you've been discharged on oxygen, you need continuing care and you need to do a lot of breath holding. Those who are on oxygen, they often ask me, can we do it? Yes, you can do it. The only thing is watch your saturation. So when you hold deep breath, maybe you'll be able to hold only for 3, 4, 5 seconds. Fine. Just add 1 second every day. Today it's 5, tomorrow 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 20 days later, you might cross 30. And remember, as your breath holding time will increase, so will your oxygen. And your requirement of oxygen will slowly come down. So more care will be needed for those who have had bad diabetes. Diabetes will continue to need insulin as long as steroids are there, and the effect will continue for a few more weeks thereafter. Once the steroids are effective, few weeks later, you'll probably return to your pre-corona or maybe a little higher. So your diabetes will need care, your blood pressure will need care. If you have had any clotting problems, it will need care. If you had fungus, this would need long-term care. If you're on oxygen, this would need long-term care. But if you don't have any of these, one thing which will still need care is lung fibrosis for moderate and severe people. For will Ramban is breathing and breath holding exercises. Last 2 lines. If you have had COVID, you would develop antibodies, which will probably protect you for about 3 to 6 months. A lot of my friends who had COVID last year have again had COVID this year. 2 reasons, 2 possibilities. Either the antibodies they formed last year have diminished by now, they've gone down, or this virus is resistant to those antibodies. So antibodies that we formed this year, we don't know how long. Probably minimum 3 months, 3 to 6 months they'll last. After that, what will happen, we don't know. Second thing is vaccine is there, as we discussed last time, 4 to 6 weeks after you have got corona, up to 3 months, because we are saying that your antibodies will last minimum 3 months. So and you should take vaccine after minimum of 4 to 6 months of corona. So from 4 to 6 weeks to about 12 weeks is the window during which you should go and take vaccine. But please be careful at the vaccination center, your COVID appropriate behavior. And this is the last thing I want to tell you, whether you have suffered from corona or not, whether you have got the vaccine or not, COVID appropriate behavior will continue to be needed for the remaining 2021. Ladies and gentlemen, please engrave it on your minds. 2021 remaining months, there is no question of COVID appropriate behavior, which means mask, distancing, not collecting in closed rooms, and hand hygiene. These 4 principles will continue to be needed. Some of you would be confused about the CDC USA guidelines, where they have said that those who have received 2 dosages of vaccine and are 2 weeks post that can remove the mask, can stop social distancing, and can move away freely. I 100% disagree with that approach, and I don't think it should be confused and applied in our country. So to end, I would say post-COVID syndrome is a real problem, but trust me, friends, with the support of your family, with the support of your friends, and of course, medical supervision, most of the good news is, the last line should be good news. Good news is that as time passes by, I would repeat, most of these symptoms improve. The one symptom which needs real intensive 6 months of care is lung fibrosis, for which breathing exercise is the Ramban. I think I'll stop with that.
Thank you so much, Dr. Arvind Kumar. You have cleared many of our doubts. In fact, the list of questions which are in front of me, almost all the answers you have already given. There are some viewers who want us to use Hindi also. So my next question is going to be in Hindi.
Sure.
जो क्वेश्चंस पूछे जा रहे हैं उसमें एक क्वेश्चन है कि बहुत सारा डाटा ऐसा आ रहा है जहां पे ये कहा गया है कि जो कोविड है वो विमेन को ज्यादा इम्पैक्ट करता है, उनकी क्लॉटिंग को या उनका जो भी मेटाबॉलिज्म है. क्या आपके हॉस्पिटल में या कोई ऐसी स्टडी है कि इट हैज मोर इम्पैक्ट ऑन लेडीज एज कंपेयर टू द मेन फोक?
नो, अभी तक मेरे नॉलेज में तो ऐसा कोई डेटा नहीं है कि कोई भी कॉम्प्लिकेशन कोविड का लेडीज में जाना हो. हाँ, एक चीज जरूर मैं बताऊंगा कि वैक्सीन के बाद जो साइड इफेक्ट्स हैं, जो 1-2 दिन बुखार वगैरह रहता है, वो जरूर मैंने अपने डिपार्टमेंट में, अपनी फैमिली में और अपने काफी मित्र मंडली में देखा है कि यंग लेडीज have had far more reaction, fever वगैरह, as compared to older men. So I had no problem, no fever, nothing. But all the girls in my department had high fever for 2 days. This was something I consistently observed. But as far as corona complications of severe disease, etc., is concerned, no. In fact, if you look at the mortality data, the number of deaths have been mostly in the 30 to 45 age group this time. And many more men than women. It's not that it is, men are getting killed more than women. It's just that because of being outside, men are exposed more, so there are more men patients. So there are more patients with more deaths.
Okay. But one question, and then I will ask Charu to ask the questions. जब हम अपनी ऑक्सीजन लेवल चेक करते हैं, if we put it in the right hand figure, maybe it will show 95. If we put it in left hand figure, it will show 98. या किसी और फिंगर में डालेंगे तो कोई और उसमें digit आएगा. तो why is it so? Why 2 fingers are not showing the same digit?
Yeah.
एक
So
तो ये है और
answer is-
दूसरी, sorry, I'll just add one more statement to that. There are some who were COVID positive और उसके बाद वो अब ठीक हो गए हैं, लेकिन उनका ऑक्सीजन लेवल persist कर रहा है 92 पे, meaning it is not going down, it is somewhere 92, 93, 94. So they are asking, तो अगर हमारा पिछले 15 दिन से 92 है and we are feeling okay, is it really okay? So these are the two flats.
Sure. तो पहला वाला क्वेश्चन है कि जो ये विगर है ना, वो एक्चुअली दोनों हाथों में और फिंगर्स में कोई डिफरेंस नहीं होना चाहिए. डिफरेंस अगर आता है तो वो लगाने के मेथड पे आता है. मैंने लास्ट टाइम भी कहा था, इसमें एक रेड लाइट होती है, नेल साफ होना चाहिए. नेल को आप रेड लाइट वाले साइड में पूरा डालिए, पूरा फिंगर डाल के इसको स्टेबल कर दीजिए, हाथ पे रख लीजिए या कहीं पर, और उसको 30 to 45 सेकेंड्स तक उसको रीडिंग को स्टेबलाइज होना चाहिए. What people do, they just switch it on and put it. See, there is a laser which passes through the blood in the nail bed. It senses and it takes some time to give you the final reading. Now, if you start reading the reading much before it actually stabilizes, suddenly आपको एक 91 लगेगी, दूसरी फिंगर में लगाएंगे. So this happens. Put it in one finger, let it stabilize for 45 seconds, and then you take it. Trust me, दोनों हाथों में, 5 उंगलियां में ये 5 उंगलियां बराबर ना हो, but ऑक्सीजन 5 उंगलियां में बराबर हो.
Okay.
Regarding the second question about some people being 92, now this will happen कि अगर आपके लंग में थोड़ा बहुत इन्वॉल्वमेंट हुआ है तो आपका नॉर्मल 95 की जगह 92 पे होगा. Now we earlier used to say 95, 96 is normal. You know, मैंने अपना वो वीडियो एक शेयर किया है ऑक्सीजन सिलेंडर पे, वो कुछ टाइम पहले रिकॉर्ड किया था, तो उसमें मैंने 95, 96 कहा था, बट अभी मैंने उसमें डिलीट करके 94 कर दिया. तो आजकल हमारा स्टैंडर्ड 94 आ गया है, हम लोग 92 भी एक्सेप्ट कर ले रहे हैं. बट 92 मींस कि कहीं ना कहीं थोड़ा बहुत लंग का इन्वॉल्वमेंट है, एंड वो अगर एक्सरसाइज करेंगे, ब्रेथ होल्डिंग पे जान लगाएंगे, ट्रस्ट मी, इन 1 week टाइम दे विल क्रॉस 90. I promise.
Okay, Charu.
बट 90 से नीचे अगर किसी का भी हो तो दे मस्ट टेक ऑक्सीजन, एंड देयर आर लॉट ऑफ पीपल हु आर नीडिंग ऑक्सीजन फॉर 4 to 6 वीक्स। एक और चीज कि अगर आपको 1-2 लीटर की जरूरत है और घर में 2-3 मेंबर्स हैं जिनको चाहिए, मेरे कजन हैं उनको उनकी वाइफ दोनों को चाहिए, और दे हैड वन ऑक्सीजन कंसंट्रेटर व्हिच फॉर्चुनेटली वाज 10 लीटर का, एंड दे बोथ नीडेड अबाउट 4 लीटर्स पर मिनट। तो उसमें एक उसके आउटपुट में एक वाई कनेक्शन लगा देते हैं, तो एक आउटपुट 2 ट्यूब्स में चला जाता है, तो वो दोनों बगल बगल लगा के बैठे हैं। ओनली थिंग इज पर फोर्स नाउ दे हैव टू बी टुगेदर।
Okay. Charu, just check the chat box. There
Yes.
are some questions.
There are many in fact. तो मैं शुरू करते सर, ये बड़े स्पेसिफिक क्वेश्चंस हैं। एक चंदन चक्रवर्ती कह रहे हैं कि अगर बच्चा मेरा ब्यूडेसोनाइड इनहेलर पे है तो क्या उसको भी ब्लैक फंगस का इन्फेक्शन हो सकता है? मतलब ऑक्सीजन भी लिया है और
एक्सीलेंट क्वेश्चन। जो इनहेलर्स डेवलप किए गए थे वो इसलिए किए गए थे कि जब हम ब्लड में देते हैं या मुंह से लेते हैं तो हमें बहुत भारी डोज लेनी पड़ती है, जिसका छोटा सा हिस्सा लंग में पहुंचता है और बाकी जो ऑर्गन्स हैं उनको साइड इफेक्ट्स होता है। ये जो इनहेलर है ये बड़ा अच्छा ब्यूटीफुल तरीका है कि हम रिक्वायर्ड मिनिमम डोज वो लंग के अंदर सीधे डिलीवर कर देते हैं, बाकी बॉडी में वो एब्जॉर्ब नहीं होता। लेकिन जब हम इनहेलर लेते हैं तो वो इनहेलर पहले हमारे गले में जाता है, थोड़ा बहुत दवा गले में रह जाती है और फिर वो ब्रीथ पाइप में जाता है। हम हमेशा एडवाइस करते हैं कि इनहेलर लेने के बाद आप थोड़ा सा आधा कप पानी से गार्गल्स कर लीजिए ताकि वो गले में जो रुका है वो चला जाए। तो आइडियल इज नथिंग, नो स्टीरॉइड्स, बट अगर आपको ब्रोंकाइटिस या इस तरह की टेंडेंसी है और आप इनहेलर ले रहे हैं तो वो भी आप डॉक्टर के सुपरविजन में पीडियाट्रिशियन से बात करके मिनिमम पीरियड के लिए लीजिए। उनका साइड इफेक्ट सिस्टमिक स्टेरॉइड से कहीं कम होता है, लेकिन ये कहूं कि कोई साइड इफेक्ट नहीं है तो ये गलत है।
सर इसी के साथ में जुड़ा हुआ क्वेश्चन ब्लैक फंगस से के लिए ही है कि अगर आंखों में स्वेलिंग है लेकिन नेजल पैसेज में कोई स्टफीनेस नहीं है तो क्या किसी को ब्लैक फंगस का टेस्ट डायग्नोसिस के लिए जाना चाहिए?
देखिए, अगर नेजल स्टफीनेस है, दोनों तरफ ये चीक जो साइनस होता है वो एरिया स्वोलन है, वहां बहुत दर्द है, और आंखों में स्वेलिंग मतलब आंख लिटरली बाहर की तरफ आ जाती है, लगता है जैसे आई बॉल पॉप आउट कर रहा है, और उसके साथ साथ विजन इफेक्ट हो जाता है। तो मैं ये कहूंगा कि अगर आपको कोई भी प्रॉब्लम है तो एक ईएनटी या आई सर्जन के पास जाके एक नेजल स्वाब कराने में कोई हार्म नहीं है, क्योंकि इस ब्लैक फंगस का मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट पार्ट इज अर्लीस्ट डायग्नोसिस। जितनी जल्दी डायग्नोसिस हो जाएगा उतना बेटर आउटकम होगा। इवन आवर्स आर इंपॉर्टेंट।
अपर्णा मैम, आप कुछ?
My question is directly linked to what Dr. Nisha patient was discussing. There is a question that this particular person says that he has not had corona till now, but जब भी वो अपना pulse oximeter से ऑक्सीजन नापते हैं तो वो 94 आती है. Is it normal?
94 we are saying is normal. 94 is fine.
Okay sir. And another question, time के साथ जैसे पहले कोरोना पे फिर वैक्सीनेशन पे और अब 2DG पे क्वेश्चन है कि इस ड्रग के बारे में आप बताइए कुछ, and how effective it is in treatment of corona.
Yeah, so madam, I was invited by 2 TV channels in the afternoon to talk about this drug, and actually I refused both of them for the simple reason I said I don't open my mouth unless I'm fully knowledgeable and confident about that. And I put one of my colleagues on the job ki net pe iske bare mein nikalo. There is very little data which has been put out by DRDO. They have done a trial jo reported hai. I'm talking, I don't know if they have hidden inside, but jo public space mein hai. It's a trial done on some 140 ऐसे कुछ small number of patients जिनको कुछ ड्रग दी गई थी और उन्होंने कहा कि इससे थोड़ा सा वो 2 दिन रिकवरी जल्दी हो गई और कुछ सिम्टम जल्दी ठीक हो गए। इट्स अ वेरी वेरी सॉफ्ट डेटा। हमारे यहाँ मेडिकल फील्ड में जो सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट चीज होती है वो होता है रैंडमाइज ट्रायल। टू टेक ए लार्ज नंबर ऑफ पेशेंट, डिवाइड देम इनटू 2 ग्रुप, एक को दवा दूसरे को नो दवा, फॉलो एंड शो द डिफरेंस, जैसा स्टेरॉइड्स के केस में इंग्लैंड में किया था। इस तरह का कोई डेटा नहीं है। अभी मैं इस ड्रग के बारे में कुछ नहीं कमेंट करूंगा, इतना जरूर कह दूंगा ये कोई मैजिक बुलेट नहीं है। नो
सर, ये एक बच्चा पूछ रहा है अपने पेरेंट के बारे में कि माय फादर इज कफिंग अप ब्लड समटाइम्स मतलब कोरोना उनको हुआ और कफ में कभी कभी थोड़ा ब्लड आ रहा है, तो मुझे क्या करना चाहिए?
तो मैडम, coughing up blood means it's a very sinister symptom. तो उनको तुरंत किसी चेस्ट फिजिशियन से कांटेक्ट करना चाहिए, उनका एग्जामिनेशन होगा, उनका चेस्ट एक्सरे होगा, अगर जरूरत होगी तो सीटी स्कैन होगा। इसके बहुत सारे कारण हो सकते हैं, ये निमोनिया की वजह से भी हो सकता है, और कई केसेस में आजकल मेरे पास हर रोज दो तीन पेशेंट्स आ रहे हैं जिनके लंग कैंसर डिटेक्ट हुआ सीटी में, मतलब कोरोना के लिए उनका सीटी हुआ, कोरोना तो डिटेक्ट हुआ ही, साथ में कहीं कोई एक मैस दिख गया और सडनली बायोप्सी में वो हुआ। Every day I'm seeing at least one patient who's detected this kind of thing. तो मैं ये नहीं कह रहा हूँ प्लीज कि आपको ऐसा है, मैं आपसे कह रहा हूँ कि बलगम में ब्लड आना एक सीरियस सिम्टम है, किसी डॉक्टर को कॉन्टेक्ट।
अपर्णा मैम, आप पूछ रहे? अनम्यूट योरसेल्फ, अनम्यूट।
Sir, can severe case of fibrosis in lungs be cured completely with medicines and exercise?
मैंने अभी बताया था कि ये जो देखिए कोविड के बारे में फाइब्रोसिस तो अभी का डेवलपमेंट है ना, किसी के पास कोई हार्ड रैंडमाइज्ड ट्रायल का डेटा नहीं है। एक और चीज होती थी जिसको हम इंटरस्टिशियल लंग डिजीज कहते हैं, जहां बिना कोविड के भी लोगों में लंग में फाइब्रोसिस होती थी और उसको ट्रीट किया जाता था। तो उसका जो एक्सपीरियंस है उसको एक्सट्रापोलेट करके हम लोग यूज कर रहे हैं। वहां स्टेरॉइड्स यूज होते हैं, वहां परफेनिडोन करके एक दवा है वो यूज होती है, वहां निंटेनिडिब करके एक दवा है वो यूज होती है, उन्हीं को हम यहाँ भी यूज करें। लेकिन वहां भी उनमें से किसी ड्रग ने हुई चुकी फाइब्रोसिस को रिवर्स करके आज तक नहीं दिखाया, केवल उसकी स्पीड ऑफ प्रोग्रेशन को स्लो करना शो किया है। तो इसलिए मैं यहाँ कहूंगा कि अभी आपको न्यूमोनिया है, फाइब्रोसिस नहीं हुई है, अगले 6 महीने आपके हाथ में है उस फाइब्रोसिस को रोकने के लिए। और ये मूवमेंट याद रखिएगा, फाइब्रोसिस ऐसे होगी, आप ब्रेथ होल्डिंग करके उसको खोलेंगे, आप जीत सकते हैं अगर प्रयास करें। मैडम।
डॉक्टर साहब, एक क्वेश्चन है कि कोई जिसने एक वैक्सीन लिया था और 28 डेज के बाद दूसरा वैक्सीन लेना था, बट ही कुड नॉट गेट द अपॉइंटमेंट, सो नाउ इट इज नियरली 2 months. तो अब उनका जो 28 डेज का गैप के बाद दूसरा लेना था वो नहीं हो पाया, तो अब क्या होगा?
कुछ नहीं, कोवैक्सीन में 30 डेज का टाइम है, लेकिन अगर वो स्किप हो गया है तो कोई बात नहीं, आपको जैसे ही अपॉइंटमेंट मिलता है आप जाके कोवैक्सीन की सेकेंड डोज ले लीजिए। ये तो है कोवैक्सीन के लिए। और कोविशील्ड में तो वैसे ही गवर्नमेंट ने उसका पीरियड बढ़ा दिया, 3 months कर दिया है, आपको 84 डेज से पहले अपॉइंटमेंट ही नहीं मिलेगा। तो कोविशील्ड में इस समय रिकमेंडेशन इज 12 to 16 वीक्स।
ये कोवैक्सीन वाला केस है।
तो कोवैक्सीन 4 है, लेकिन डिले हो गया, तब भी लेना इज बेटर देन नॉट लेना।
ओके, चारू।
हाँ जी सर, एक बच्ची है, ये बोल रहे हैं, शमा शेट्टी, ये कह रहे हैं कि इफ 2 कोविड पेशेंट्स आर डिटेक्टेड विद पॉजिटिव एट डिफरेंट डेज, मतलब एक का शायद अगर 11 तारीख को हुआ है, दूसरे का 17 तारीख को या 15 तारीख को है, तो कैन दे स्टे इन द सेम रूम?
Yeah. 2 positive. So my whole family had it. I had it. Then 2 days later, my wife developed symptom, and 3 days later, my daughter developed symptom. So till I was positive, they were separated. But the moment she developed symptom and she was positive, she joined me. And then daughter developed symptom, she joined me. So COVID positive people can share the room, but those who are not yet symptomatic must be in isolation.
And one question related to what Dr. Nisha was asking about vaccination. This is about lactating mothers and pregnant ladies. Should they go for vaccination?
As of today, government has not allowed vaccination for pregnant women, lactating women, and children below 18 years. Now in US, Pfizer vaccine has been allowed to 12 to 18 group already, and they have started trials on the 2 to 12 age group also. Now, similar trials have started in children as well as in pregnant mothers in India also. It is expected that within maybe max 2 months, the data about safety will be out. It's not that we are going to have a new vaccine. We just need to prove safety in this special group. The moment data on safety is out, my feeling is by July, it will be open to children younger than 18, pregnant women, and lactating mothers also. The reason is previous wave affected elderly people. This wave, as I said, has affected 30 to 45 age group, the maximum. And fear is that if we have next wave, it may affect mostly children. And therefore, it's vital to vaccinate children. And therefore, work is going on. In a month or two, that should open up.
Precautions should be taken by heart patients.
Yeah, so heart patients, number one, when you develop corona, whether you are on home isolation or you are in ICU or hospital, moderate or severe disease, whatever treatment, whatever medicines you were taking must continue uninterrupted. That's number one. Number two, heart patients are more prone to develop, complications like lung involvement and death. So they need to be monitored very carefully. If you have heart patient, elderly, diabetic, these are people for whom we have a very low threshold of admission to hospital. So that is second. Third, when you are discharged, again, start your treatment very regularly. Monitor your pulse, your blood pressure, your risk. As I said, some people have increased heart rate, some have slowing of the heart rate, blood pressure problem. All these need to be monitored. You need to be in touch with your doctor regularly. And fourthly, when these people do breath holding exercises, I told last time also, they have to be softer. They shouldn't do as hard as non-heart disease patients.
And sir, for a COVID patient, when should they stop taking blood thinners?
Blood thinners are given in the hospital in injectable form, and when people are discharged, we advise them for about 15 to 20 days period. But there are situations, very obese people, people who are not likely to be very mobile in the house, if you have a heart disease, if you have a clotting problem, or those who have had, I have two of my friends' fathers who actually developed stroke in the now these kind of patients, which is because of clotting, these kind of patients will be kept on clotting, anti-clotting drug for much longer period. So that 15 days is for those who did not have the clinical problem. If you have had a clinically manifest clotting problem, you probably would be on blood thinners for several months. But that should be under supervision of doctors and not self-prescription. It can cause serious bleeding also.
Sorry, ma'am, there's a related question I would just like to add. So it's a personal question from Mrs. Chatterjee that her husband takes Track 10 and EcoSpring 75 daily. Can he get vaccinated? He is diabetic and cardiac patient.
He must get vaccinated. So I would just like to, can I share a slide for just 1 minute or so? I just want to show you 3 videos which I have just released yesterday. Just give me a minute. So one is this video. Can you see?
Yes.
So as I said, oxygen is now going to be used in a lot of houses, either by cylinder or by oxygen concentrator. So this video we released yesterday about how to use the oxygen cylinder at home. And in a day or two, I'll be releasing a video on how to use the oxygenator properly at home. And this is the video about how to correctly use the pulse oximeter at home. And lastly, this I released today morning, COVID-19 or vaccination, Janiye Har Pehlu. So these are 3 videos which we have just released. I have shared the links with Charu madam. I'm sure she'll share with all of you. And these videos again will give you very detailed information about everything connected to vaccine. So people on blood thinners, there is no contraindication. I will just repeat, except for people who have a disease called hemophilia, इसमें blood में clotting ही नहीं होती है, or people who are on a drug called anticoagulants, which those who have artificial valve, they take. In those conditions, or if you have active corona or any active febrile illness, or you are currently on chemotherapy, etc. Except for these very few groups, all others can take. I cannot repeat all the diseases, but whole lot of diseases, long list. The answer is yes, you can. And the more the comorbidities, obesity, diabetes, hypertension, all these which increase the risk of corona, इन लोगों को benefit दूसरी पब्लिक से ज्यादा है, because they have a higher risk of dying of corona. तो वैक्सीन का फायदा उनको ज्यादा होगा.
सर ये ब्लैक फंगस के लिए लाइपोसोमल एम्फोटेरिसिन बी डॉक्टर्स डिमांड कर रहे हैं, जो कि मिल ही नहीं रही है मार्केट में और बहुत ही कम मिल रही है. उसकी जगह ये किसी ने पूछा है कैप्सोफंगिन एसीटेट फॉर इंजेक्शन 50 mg या एम्फोटेरिसिन बी इंजेक्शन एम्फोटेरेट, क्या हम ये यूज कर सकते हैं?
एम्फोटेरिसिन इज द ड्रग ऑफ चॉइस फॉर म्यूकरमाइकोसिस. इनफैक्ट एम्फोटेरिसिन अकेले म्यूकर को नहीं मार पाती है. एम्फोटेरिसिन हम 1 या 2 दिन देते हैं और उसके बाद जहां फंगस होता है उस एरिया को सर्जिकली रिमूव करते हैं और उसके बाद फिर एम्फोटेरिसिन देते हैं. एम्फोटेरिसिन 2 तरह की होती है, एक ऑर्डिनरी और दूसरी जो इन्होंने कहा लाइपोसोमल. ऑर्डिनरी में थोड़ी किडनी प्रॉब्लम्स होती है, लाइपोसोमल में किडनी प्रॉब्लम्स कम होती हैं. अब ये जैसे रेमडेसिविर का हुआ था, आजकल मार्केट से सडनली गायब हो गई है. नाउ दैट्स समथिंग बियॉन्ड माय कंट्रोल, बट डेफिनेटली एम्फोटेरिसिन का रिप्लेसमेंट नहीं है. एक और ड्रग है जिसका नाम है पोसाकोरेटोल, जो सिरप के फॉर्म में आती है, वो ली जा सकती है. बट यू हैव टू लुक फॉर एम्फोटेरिसिन.
Questions are endless.
No, I'm okay. If you want to continue,
सर के लिए
अगर आपको पेशेंस है मैडम तो मैं तो बैठ
नहीं, हमें तो सर इससे बढ़िया क्या हो सकता है कि आप हमारे सामने. सर Mr. Manoj Mittal is there. Do you wish to ask anything? I will ask in the meantime. Can COVID-19 affect any organ except respiratory organ?
COVID-19 मैं एक चीज क्लैरिफाई कर दूं. जो लंग्स का इन्वॉल्व, मैंने लास्ट टाइम भी बताया था, लंग्स का जो इन्वॉल्वमेंट होता है वो कोविड-19 की वजह से नहीं होता है. जब तक लंग्स इन्वॉल्व होते हैं, एक्चुअली कोविड-19 तो बॉडी से डिटेक्ट निकल भाग चुका होता है. लंग्स का इन्वॉल्वमेंट इज बिकॉज ऑफ बॉडीज ओन इम्यून रिस्पॉन्स. सो व्हाट हैपेंस, डे 1 या उससे पहले वायरस आया आपके बॉडी में, 3-4-5 दिन का इंक्यूबेशन पीरियड रहा, फिर सिम्टोमेटिक पीरियड आया. उस समय आपकी बॉडी इम्यून रिस्पॉन्स माउंट करती है, जो जनरली फर्स्ट वीकेंड तक पीक करता है. वो नॉर्मली वायरस को किल करके भगा देता है और फिर वो इम्यून रिस्पॉन्स ठंडा हो जाता है. कुछ लोगों में, और ये मैंने देखा है, जो बहुत ही हाईली एंग्शियस, बड़े पैनिकी टाइप के होते हैं, उनमें ज्यादा होता है कि ये इम्यून रिस्पॉन्स अनअबेटेड, अनचेक्ड बढ़ता चला जाता है. बहुत सारे केमिकल्स बॉडी में रिलीज होते हैं जिसको हम टेक्निकल लैंग्वेज में साइटोकाइन स्टॉर्म कहते हैं. इट्स लाइक ए स्टॉर्म ऑफ deadly chemicals which is released, and these chemicals injure the lung. So lung injury is not due to virus. Lung injury is due to chemicals which are released by body in response to viral infection. They are supposed to kill the virus, but by the time they are released, the virus तो चला गया और वो they end up injuring the. It's like your army went to the border to kill the enemy. Enemy भाग गया था, उन्होंने गांव वालों को मार डाला. You know, something like that. So lung is a poor innocent bystander which suffers because of this. But during the first 1 week in which virus is replicating in the body, it can affect, and it does affect, every organ. So as I said, brain may be affected, liver, many times we find changes in liver enzymes. Kidney may be affected, heart may be affected, muscles are affected, bones are affected, intestines are affected. All the organs can be affected. Fortunately, those are all within limits, and as the virus disappears, all these organs improve. And that is why psychological problems are there, sometimes liver enzymes persist, sometimes heart problems are there. These are all because of all the organ systems getting involved by the virus. But
Dr. Kumar, thank you very much for showing so much of patience. I can understand for the whole day you must have been busy in hospital taking care of the patients, and now you are giving us so much of time. Again, I would like to repeat myself what I said last time, that DAV College Managing Committee has made a portal. एंड मैं थोड़ा ये सभी लोगों को समझ आ जाए कि जहां पर भी हमारे कुछ टीचर्स हैं जिनके हमें मालूम नहीं है कि उनकी हेल्थ की कंडीशन क्या है, तो अगर हमें वो इस पोर्टल के थ्रू हमें इंफॉर्मेशन मिले ताकि वी कैन हम उन तक पहुंच पाए, किसी भी तरह से हम उन तक पहुंच पाए. और जो भी मेरे रीजनल ऑफिसर्स, असिस्टेंट रीजनल ऑफिसर्स, डिप्टी रीजनल ऑफिसर्स सुन रहे हैं और अटेंड कर रहे हैं, उनको भी मैं अपील करती हूँ कि अपने एरिया में रीच आउट कीजिए, देख लीजिए टीचर्स या पेरेंट्स की क्या पोजीशन है, कहीं कुछ बच्चे ऐसे तो नहीं है जिनको हेल्प की जरूरत है. और कुछ इंफॉर्मेशन हमारी पोर्टल पे आई है, तो मैंने मिसेस चारू मैनी को रिक्वेस्ट किया था कि उसके 1-2 स्लाइड आपको दिखा दे ताकि आप देख लें कि वो पोर्टल कैसा है और कहाँ पर आपको इंफॉर्मेशन देनी है. चारू.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. And before I start on this portal, एक क्वेश्चन एक आया है कि एक लेडी है, वो कह रही है कि मैं कैंसर पेशेंट हूँ और 4th स्टेज कैंसर में हूँ, लेकिन रिकवरी पे हूँ, और क्या मुझे वैक्सीनेशन लेना चाहिए, क्या मैं ले सकती हूँ?
अगर वो इस समय किसी एक्टिव कीमोथेरेपी पे नहीं है तो वो जरूर ले सकते हैं, क्योंकि एज 4th स्टेज कैंसर पेशेंट उनको कोरोना का रिस्क बहुत ज्यादा है. बट एक्टिव कीमोथेरेपी पे जो पेशेंट है उसको कीमोथेरेपी खत्म होने के 4-6 हफ्ते बाद तक का वेट करना है.
Okay, fine, sir. So, my dear viewers, parents, teachers, and regional directors and head of the institutes, as ma'am has introduced, I am so thankful to ma'am for bringing this particular portal, which under the guidance of our president, Dr. Padma Shri Poonam Suri ji, we have this portal c19sos.org, which is there on the school website. All the DAV schools have this right now on their websites, and people can go here. And this website, this portal has connecting DAV community, log in to be a volunteer, ask for help, and COVID resources. These are the 3 things, and it's not necessary that you have to be associated with DAV directly. You can be, otherwise also you can be a volunteer if you wish to, and you are resourceful and empowered. So when you go into the portal, as you can see, we have volunteer registration, COVID resources, ask for help, our volunteers, and videos of Dr. Arvind Kumar are also there. So the 3 more videos which sir has shared, we will be putting them up also on the portal. And the resources, as you can see, I have, you can select the resources by choosing the state, city, and the kind of service. And you have to give your mobile number and the help details that you are asking. These are needed. Your correct phone number is needed, because then only we will get to know that the demand is genuine. The kind of resources, as you can see here, oxygen cylinder, ambulance, oxygen concentrator, all these resources, meal services, blood banks, and after death services, medicines, doctors on call, all these are there. But yes, in this, we need more volunteers to come in and log in to show, and we will be authenticating the data. Anyone who's registered can authenticate the data that's there. And as ma'am was saying, for the head of the institutes, SOS for life of loss of teacher, parents, and students is there. So all head of institutes only head of institutes can fill up this form. First of all, they have to fill up this form. Like for me, I had started filling it. So school code is already there. It has picked up with my phone number, and I can see write the school number, name, address, city, the support and help that is needed, the name and the date of demise, and remarks. So this is basically to track the parent or student. On the same portal, we would be putting various the remarks from the doctors. And as Dr. Arvind was sharing, ऑक्सीजन सिलेंडर घर पर का इस्तेमाल करने का सही तरीका, उसका जो लिंक है वो है कोविड-19 इन्फेक्शन और वैक्सीन, उसका लिंक, पल्स ऑक्सीमीटर को सही तरीके से कैसे इस्तेमाल करें उसका लिंक, एंड हेल्पलाइन which Dr. Arvind and his team has also created, postcovidcareindia@gmail.com. So we are not giving you phone numbers, as here is the email ID, and mind you, your mails would be responded. So you can write your query on this email ID, and then the team which Dr. Arvind has, they will connect with you and would try to solve them. So this was about the portal that has been created by DAV College Management Committee. Thank you, ma'am, for coming out with this.
So this time, I think we have taken one step ahead, where we are thinking more towards positivity, recovery. And I liked the comments of Dr. Arvind Kumar that how to remain positive, how to remain united. So we all have to think that this physical well-being is very, very important, but we cannot say that mental well-being is not important. Perhaps it's more important than physical well-being. So we need to take care of physical well-being as well as mental well-being, because there's a lot of negativity around, and there are so many sad stories around which can have an impact on a human mind. So we have to be very, very conscious of it and try to come out of it the way Dr. Arvind Kumar was explaining. Dr. Saab, thank you so much for accepting our request and taking out time from your busy schedule, as I can understand. And you said also that 2 TV channels during the daytime, they were kind of interacting with you, and then the patients. It's a lot of work. But when you are here with us and you are saying that I'm here, you go with endless questions. This shows the motivation. This shows the passion. This shows the commitment, the surrender for the work, and I really salute that. Thank you very much for accepting our request and being here, and we are honored. Believe me, we are honored to have a doctor of your repute who is so humble and grounded, down to earth, replying our questions. Maybe some questions are just stupid questions, maybe, because whatever comes in our mind we keep asking, and with lot of patience you have replied all our queries. Thank you so much once again.
Just
Charu?
one line. I need to respond.
Yeah, sure.
मैडम, आपने इतने बड़े बड़े शब्द इस्तेमाल किए हैं, मैं इसमें से कुछ नहीं डिजर्व करता हूँ. मैं केवल एक सेंटेंस कहूंगा, ये सब कुछ प्रभु के चरणों में एक सेवा के रूप में समर्पित है. That's all. That's all.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. So then there are no words to thank Dr. Arvind, and with all humbleness, as ma'am has said, thanks to you. And I wish to thank President Sir, Padma Shri Poonam Suri ji, for helping us come together, and also for the DAV College Management Committee portal. Dr. Nisha, for bringing us together on this platform and giving us the strength and empowering us that we can go ahead with this kind of a program. And all parents, teachers, students, and the extended families who have joined us, because when we are together, we sure are going to get over this, as sir has said. And yes, giving mental support to each other, that is what is the need of the hour. And yes, for all the head of the institutes and the regional directors who have spread this message all around in the whole DAV community, that we all come together for this muhim, दैट हमें कोरोना को हराना है और एक स्वस्थ भारत बनाना है, ये उसके साथ हम चलेंगे. एंड yes, the team IT for again helping us, having a smooth program. So team IT of DAV Sector 49, I am thankful to you too for bringing us together on this. So एक छोटा सा एक प्रेयर कुछ दिनों से मन में गूंज रही थी, तो आई जस्ट थोड़ा सा उसको बोलती हूँ मैं. हमको उजालों की ओर ले चलो, जिसमें ना हो तम के साए, उस राह पर हमें ले चलो, हमको उजालों की ओर ले चलो. तो सब मिलके हम थोड़े आवाज अब उतनी अच्छी नहीं है, लेकिन इसमें जिस जगह पर सूरज पहुंचे ना, हर और तिमिर का वास हो, आशा के तारों से वहां रोशन नया विश्वास हो. ओके, उस जहां कुछ ना पहुंचे वहां उस और भोर ले चलो. हम सबको मिलके उस भोर का लेके चलना है सबकी जिंदगी में, और तिमिर को हटाना है, और जब हम इकट्ठे होंगे तो जरूर ये मिलेगा. सो थैंक यू एवरीवन फॉर ज्वाइनिंग अस, एंड शांति पाठ के साथ हम आज की सभा का समापन करेंगे. थैंक यू.
सभी को धन्यवाद. और कल से हम नई आईडी अपलोड करेंगे, उससे प्रार्थना सभा करेंगे. मैं कल सुबह सबको पोस्ट कर दूंगी आईडी. अमित सर, अगर आप अभी चैट बॉक्स में लिख सकते हैं तो लिख दीजिए.
मुझे लॉग आउट करना पड़ेगा, प्रॉब्लम.
अच्छा बेटे, ठीक है, आप मेरे को भेज दीजिएगा, मैं शेयर कर दूंगी.